Now that's a picture of the stepping stone at Wires Chapel. See how they have it? And the wood finally broke, but it grew into the trees.
Yes, it did. Yes,
it's still out there.
It sure is. It sure is. Wires Chapel.
And Miss Eddie Mae Jameson's related to him, to Robert Jameson, so she wanted her, I put her picture in here. She's getting really old though, I don't know where she is now. Roy Hodges is still living, he's World War II.
And this is World War I and World War II.
And Vietnam and Korea, we had some Korea in here. I would like for you to do the black pictures of these people who served.
So when you started, you start early and you move on through history, don't you?
Well, yeah. See, we started with the Chickasaw Indians and came down. Then we had Vietnam, so I've
see if I can get a
it.
good picture of some of these guys.
Yeah. I think they would be really glad. They were really from France for the American expedition. John J. Pershing for the black. We almost couldn't make a picture, but then we had a Knox who was in World War I, and then this fella over here. We just almost didn't. Cotton. He was
beautiful.
Yes. I mean, that's this is where he was captured, and then it's where he was released. And
that's
then, and then these are the medals he won, and things he got off of dead soldiers.
One whack.
Woman to go in the army, you know.
Oh, and there was just one whack.
And so she braved it and went and just made a wonderful, enjoyed it. Well, a lot of women went, but from local places like us, it was kind of degrading. And
just one. You know, now it's an honor.
Oh my goodness, well it is. But you see, most of them were nurses. Now the nurses were really neat. Evie's still living on Dry Creek. And then just all of those Miss Allison gave them to us because so many had been stolen. You know, Shady Grove building's still out there. That may be the only original building that was a local school. It consolidated, left.
Oh man.
Anyway, she gave us those. She had saved all of those. And then we have a
now all of this is from Shady Grove. Well, this is Dumas, isn't it?
We had some from Dumas. But these pictures here on the wall here and over there are all Shady Grove.
All of this is Shady Grove.
All typewriters that I learned to type on.
Oh, yeah.
The cabinet is the first cabinet when they built a shop at Shady Grove. Miss Allison just put memorabilia in it.
This cabinet?
No, the cabinet over against the wall. That was their trophy cabinet for Bob.
Oh, that's the trophy cabinet from Shady Grove.
I tried to find those trophies, and you know what? When they consolidated with Ripley High School, Jack Harris said they did not get any trophies.
South Tippah
That was
class.
South Tippah.
Isn't that
that was
something?
kind of recent, 1960.
61.
Well, it wasn't recent, wasn't it?
No, that's a long time ago.
The
Those old
scoreboard
glasses.
was from the Lion Street Black School. And when Mr. Campbell went to the elementary school, he found it behind some junk. And I told him, I said, we need something from Lion Street School, the black school. Now, whether that was the right score, I don't know. I imagine somebody changed it over the years.
Probably.
But that was the old school board. And then we have Girl Scout stuff, boys, and look. The first, and this is something that the kids asked me what that gourd was for. Some of them didn't even know it was a gourd over here on this bench.
Okay.
School's desk.
Got to go slow.
See the map in the corner? When we became a state, it was square. Old Salem was the biggest town in Tippah County. after they built the railroad and the courthouse here, and they took away the land, it left us looking like a chimney on the map.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And so then, of course, Salem then, they had Benton County and Ashland, and then Prentice got a little bit over there, and then Alcorn got that square at the top next to Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And then at the bottom, Union County got it, way down below. See, it went way down below Copperland.
Yeah, it does. Uh-huh. You know, I noticed though, and it's got pool tide. You know, there's difference of opinion where pool tide is.
Well, it's at Mitchell, and I'll tell you why it's pool tide.
Uh-huh.
You know, they cut those big old logs, like I told you.
Uh-huh.
It would be so big around that they'd have to have oxen to pull the wagon on the frame. They didn't have a bed, they just had it on the frame.
Uh-huh.
When they got to Mitchell, the road was usually muddy and a little bit high. And what they had to do was to, help the oxen pull it, so they would have a boomer chain of some kind that they'd anchor, and they would pull the log up, that all, and then let the oxen pull it. And it was called pull tight because they had to pull that chain tight.
Oh.
To move that log.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the settlers out there, they had to cut all that lumber and build everything out there. That church and the other stuff, their houses, everything they built, they had to cut that lumber. Of course,
well,
some of
that's
it wasn't
right.
that big, but that's why it's called pull tie.
Yeah, that's right. I remember, and now they didn't have chainsaws and stuff. They did it hard way. Oh, man. There's one fella on each end of the saw. That's, yeah, rough. Rough.
And we had, of course, the school pictures up there. Now, they had the people on the blacks that gave them to us had the names of all of them. And the desk in the front was from Chapman High School. I never saw it. It burned before I
don't believe these desks, I'm telling you, and that's something.
This is what, these were modern. When
I
went
to
school, we
something.
had a bench to sit on when I started.
Really?
Yeah.
A bench?
We had a bench, just a wooden bench. Slats like we used to have in churches, you know what they
Uh-huh, like a pew, yeah. Uh-huh. Isn't that amazing?
We had some toys. And this was Brown Academy before it burned.
Brown Academy.
That was the boys' school across from the Blue Mountain College, you know.
Oh, no, I didn't know there was one.
Oh, my goodness. Brown Academy, yes.
Brown Academy.
He'd take boys down there and they had, see that football team? Johnny Jumper's uncle was the coach down there. And that's a picture, he had that one.
Oh, my.
And this, everybody played croquet. This is the old croquet set.
These are toys on the shelves.
The
That little tricycle is darling. Oh, man. And the baby carriage.
I guess we've got it marked over there. Okay, the dress belonged to Miss Velmer Peter, but she was Velmer Dees. Her sister was Eula. You know the Eula Dees Library?
Yeah.
At Northeast, they were twins. And they went to school at Coley with my mother, and they graduated from Mama's class too in 1919. And her daughter had saved that dress. And so when we opened the museum, she wanted me to put it in the museum. And that's my mother's diploma from Coley in 1919. Covered from the ditch out there when they tore down that old high school. They took everything in there and carried it out to the garbage dump, and those were retrieved by somebody that was carrying them out there.
Take a look at this and see if you see yourself in these pictures, I'm telling you.
Of course, there's no way.
Oh,
now, when they tore that building down, they didn't try to restore any of it anywhere, as far as I know, unless everybody, they probably...
It does. Yes, it does. Brings back old memories, doesn't it?
And this dipper over here went in the water bucket. Everybody drank from it. It's a gourd.
Yeah, if somebody had a cold, they all had it.
You drank from that out of my bucket. I said, yes, I'm glad to get it.
That's right. And
when we were little, Miss Janie Montgomery had this, and that's the way there's a classroom printer.
I hope that'll show up, though. Light from the window may not let it.
Well, it may not. If it doesn't, just tell them they'll have to come up here and see it.
That's right. I'm telling you, it is wonderful. And
well, I think it's saved, and unless it burns or something now. People can either put it in as a donation or a loan for 5 years. But if they don't retrieve it or if it's on a loan after 5 years, it will belong to the museum unless somebody, wants it back. And this is the first train with this battery. Of course, it didn't work, but anyway, somebody saved that Lionel train. I believe it's called a Lionel train.
Yes, I remember them.
And the little Jack in the Box, that Mickey Mouse, that was
real popular at one time.
Yeah, that was
yes, it was. It was. Well, I tell you, it's a wealth of knowledge here at the
it's
Historic
just the county.
Museum.
You know, everything that's here, somebody brought it in. We have not bought one item, not one.
Well, I have ancestors here.
My mother was a Blythe. And she's about his third cousin. She's in a picture of her with Grandpa Blythe and my Grandma Blythe in that cookbook. Effie Bay Jackson sent those to that lady in Hope that did that. Okay, here's the first one was William Jefferson.
Step up close.
The third. Well, that's his picture. I'm talking about at the cemetery. Then we started up there with parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, and I had pictures of them. And I stopped it with his daddy. I didn't want any political stuff done. This is all he had in Tippah County. Then he went to Arkansas, and then Terry Lee Blythe, while he was in England going to school at Eton, demonstrating against the war, was killed in Vietnam, first one.
Yes, it does. It looks just like what I've seen in pictures that Roosevelt said in.
You know, I didn't know after I finished high school in San Antonio that he was crippled. They had a special seat that he could look like he was standing behind a podium. And that's the only time we ever saw him. I didn't know he was crippled.
And that's the first X-ray machine. What's that hanging on the wall?
That is let me see, I'll have to get over here and look and tell you. It's an X-ray tube believed to be of the Coolidge type from 1920s. It was used in a hospital X-ray machine. The maximum high voltage of this tube would have been approximately 100,000 volts. This would be more or less equivalent to 100,000 volts. This would, 6-inch spark gap. I don't know what that is. The maximum rate current would have been approximately 40 milliamps for a 15-second exposure. That's how long it took, 15 seconds. Ralph Clayton of Ripley native had this in his collection. Gave it to Tommy Covington in 1990.
That's something.
You know, first X-rays would go to fairs and X-ray people for a fee.
You can't.
They didn't even know what the X-ray was doing to them.
They didn't know what it was.
This is a saw that they used to saw off amputation. That's kind of during early America, the World War. These books were donated by Dr. Taylor, old medical books.
Isn't that something?
This is right here is really Doctor. If you ever saw Dr. Mooney, that's what you'd put on you. She'd play you, if anything. If she didn't doctor you standing up.
That's the truth.
I wanted her hat and purse, but whoever had. Then that's Dr. Tate's medical book he took notes in when he went to medical college over there. And the urinal and bedpans, china. And that's Dr. Tate's X-ray machine up there on that counter. And then they had some medical items from Vietnam.
from Vietnam War. You know that picture up there, you used to see that in every doctor's office. You know, I've seen it in
I know it was. It's just very common, wasn't it? Yeah. Margie Crawford, you know, she was worked in the clinic up there forever, but when it was in the hospital upstairs and you need a nurse, you'd ring this bell and they'd come to you, yeah.
Well,
who drove employees to the site of construction of Highway 4 East. The class of 1930s, donated by Lon Pickens.
Now, Tate's father worked for the WPA. I have heard of it till Tate talked about it.
It was a first aid kit.
Isn't that something?
Every repair or whatever they worked at was the first aid kit they had. Just to put this up, of course, that's Dr. Calvert, and he died a couple of years ago.
He did.
And now we have really a good one.
And these are the.
Well,
they didn't have a leg.
Yeah. Peg leg and a brace.
I wondered how they strapped that thing on there and got to stay.
The brace.
The
leg. There's a strap right there. See, the strap comes all the way around.
I bet that was uncomfortable. Oh, mercy. There's their hearts.
Well, here, this is Mississippi. See, when we became Mississippi, this is all there was of Mississippi, and the capital was at Natchez. That's a map. You can get that today. And there's a map, a big one in Jackson of that at the museum. In 1822, and see where we were, Chickasaw Indians, Choctaw, and whatever they were next to, well, whatever they have in Memphis. Along the river they had the Natchez, but they dissipated a long time ago.
They didn't really get these Indians really.
This collection of all that she had done in her house before she died. And
oh, it's a beautiful necklace.
And Patricia Cox made those from Oklahoma. Her picture, she came out, and here was an article in the Sentinel we had about it. Chickasaw remaining home, and Antioch Church out there. We went out that way, and Antioch Cemetery, the Antioch Church past that joins the Holly Springs National Forest. So she
Tell me about this old trunk.
Oh, that belonged to Miss Mann too.
Well, that's old, isn't it?
I think she had all these treasures in it. Yeah, she did. That's just the trunk. She kept all of these in there and then brought it to the museum.
That's beautiful stuff.
And then Patricia Greenwood Cox's mother and grandmother, she had the War Club made. Or somebody made it for her. Over on that, can't say it. And the deer picture was done by, what's her name? We had a lot showing of her.
I'll step over here and see if I can get a better shot. Oh, wow.
Well, you just, whatever. See, that's the Indian village. And they're coming in from the hunting, and look where the woman is. Makes me think of Islam. But anyway, that was typical. The male went, and her children, and she went behind carrying all the stuff that they got. And of course
she was the worker, wasn't she? She was the one who did the work.
Yeah, she did. Well, he hunted, and she had to do all the other stuff. And this, one group of, well, what are they? Boy Scouts made the summer house, fort, and winter house. And that's they all lived in a commune. And there is a foundation of each one of those houses on an overlook at Tupelo on the Natchez Trace going down toward Jackson.
Oh, really?
You can go up there. They can go up there and walk around where the summer house was and all, and overlook the cliff from the bottom.
That's something. Mm.
And those were oyster shells we found in a Joe Larry Shackford in them at the end of a place where he lives, a Val Creek over there. It goes up to Center. And so we found those oysters. Could you imagine an oyster that big?
No.
And of course we have a hornet nest. They build those in the woods. If you find one, you sure better let it alone.
You're right.
Okay, the old eagle was found in Ms. The house Mark and Anita moved from James Mitchell's mother's house. The big white two-story house was out there. And it was in the attic. And nobody knows when it was done or anything. She had already moved it to the attic, so we just kind of dusted it off and set it up there. The little squirrel in the top was a red squirrel, but he was an albino because he's gray. He's not red. See, a red squirrel's supposed to be red.
Yeah.
So I guess he was bred by another squirrel or something, I don't know. Now, this is something that's interesting to me. Mr. Rennet Hopper, that lived by us, I want you to look at those 2 acorns. They were called bur oak. It was a bur oak that makes that kind, and they're usually along the eastern seaboard, but they were this far. They were in a forest between Walnut and Calebian. And he had those and kept them, and when he built his house next to ours out on Walmart Drive, he gave those 2 to David and said that was a bur oak that he got when he worked for the forestry up there some way. Could you imagine an acorn that big?
No.
See, the bur oaks are just disappeared, I guess.
Yeah.
And like other, you know, floral and all that, no telling. See, when they cleaned out those Tippah River and they cleaned out all of the, trying to make them flow right or something, you know, they just destroyed all that stuff.
Destroyed everything.
They did.
One
and now
day,
they're stopped to.
One day the woods will be a thing of the past. It nearly is now.
It is a thing of the past.
Yes, it is.
Make pies out of them. Green huckleberries. We call them summer huckleberries. Now they were in little bottoms. And we'd go down there and get those big old blackberries and everything. You can't, they're gone.
Toothbrushes.
Oh no.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, they'd get a limb off of some kind of gum tree.
It was a black gum. It's a black gum tree.
Well, they chewed the sap off of a sweet gum for chewing gum.
Yeah, you had to let it get hard though. We did a lot of that. You let it run out. You'd skin the tree where it had run out. And then when it run out, you had to let it get hard because if you got it while it's still gooey, it'd stick to your teeth. I mean, it'd be like glue.
And I remember,
chewed a video gum of it.
I remember my mother-in-law used to use that little stick. She'd chew it up and get it soft.
Yeah, that was it. They didn't have teeth.
And you know, she was 90, I believe she was 91 or 92. And when she died, she still had her own teeth.
This is over in the corner done by Oil Drive. And that's a slab of soapstone. And it tells up there all the things, but they make so much stuff from soapstone.
Yes, they do.
You won't believe the stuff they make from it.
I sure do.
You know, when you're sewing and you have a marker that you mark your material. Okay, used to it would come out. Now they make them with that. And when you wash it, it just comes out like you have an eraser on a pencil.
That's something.
They make that up there. All that stuff. That is, I wish you could pick it up. That is a stone ball. And they settle disputes with that. And if wherever that landed on you, they'd use that stick to get it. They had to get it with a stick. And many people were killed in the games. That was the most famous game they had.
Said before, we can't show it all. We're gonna pick what shows up best on the film and show it on the program.
Oh no!
But y'all need to come to the Historic Museum at Ripley, because this is amazing. Just.
flag. After they went to Oklahoma and did their nation, they didn't have a flag here.
Uh-huh. Isn't that something? Okay. And they made whiskey at home?
Yeah, well, they say brew, they'd brew some kind of home brew. They call it home brew.
Uh-huh.
And the lady gave me that, says, it has been used not too long ago, so do not put my name on it. She won't let me tell who it
Oh,
was.
mercy. But isn't that something?
This is an old Victrola.
Uh-huh. I remember those. Mm-hmm.
Stirrup. Just things.
Well, I tell you, y'all just need to come and get a look. You really do.
There's a top hat. It actually folds down. We got that from Germany.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Huh. You fold it down and you pop it and it pops up.
Wow.
The top hat. You've seen them.
Well, Abraham Lincoln
Top
wore
hat,
them.
old slow shoes or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Now those pictures depict that we're still having First Monday.
Uh-huh.
Dr. War's the longest running
Well,
every
it
month
is.
for
It
since
is.
19, whatever it was, 96, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And they met on, then they moved down on the jockey yard. Then they moved down where the fire station is. Then they moved it to the fairgrounds. And then Wayne Wyndham came and moved it down there on his property. These quilts at the bottom are 100 years old or more. The Bennett family at Walden and Coley had, the daddy went to war. The grandmother and their mother, they had 3 daughters. Only one married. The other 2 were old maids, so what they did, they made their thread, most of it, and quilted those quilts, and that's how old they are.
Oh, man.
And we did
something?
get, my son-in-law made the quilt thing.
Nice.
So we have not bought anything. Of course, this was a dough tray, you know what. Now, this is the Bennett family that did the quilts. At the bottom.
That's a dough bowl. They made biscuits in
Oh,
that,
yeah,
didn't
Mama
they?
never had that empty and one like that.
Uh-huh.
Hers wasn't quite that big, but Grandma Bly's was.
Homemade
And, you know,
photo album.
And we didn't ever have a commode. We just had the pot by my bed.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't live in a fancy house, you didn't have a commode. And the kids come by and they said, well, where was the water? How did they flush it? I said, they didn't flush it. I said, you see that pot? You used it and then you carried it out to an outside toilet. Ooh, they said. Oh.
Well, it is, but that's how it is. That's what we had. Oh.
But it's cute. You know, I put it over there. And these spinning wheels, of course, and all.
Uh-huh. Well, that is amazing. Yes, it is.
And of course, everybody had this.
Bagels.
We had sausage. We had whatever you ground up on that, spices, and you had different plates, you know, that you put in there.
Uh-huh.
And that was a homemade thing my mother had. Now, Mr. Davis, I think he's Davis. Yeah. Doxy Davis built this. And that's a replica of the house going into Dumas with that steep roof.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's exactly how it looked at that time until they put tin on it. I don't know who put tin on it. I felt sorry for them. It's still out there.
Because they do away with history. They sure
Yeah,
do.
but anyway, see, here's his wood pile,
Uh-huh.
the toilet, and how they wood chopping block. And he has a dog trot over there. He had the mule tied up in the well. And we were really glad to get that.
That's
He brought
nice.
it like that,
That
fixed,
is nice.
for us to show.
Huh?
Now, they would use that to cut the hay, cut the stuff. And it would also make it into the fingers would roll it for them. You didn't have to get it and do it by hand. But now, if you could swing that all day, you were some kind of a man.
I bet. I just know. I know something over there says calf wiener.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't know how.
I don't know how. I got a scale over there. It's something. If y'all are interested in old things. You
And
need to
that
make a
pig,
trip
what are
out
you
here.
talking? I'm telling you.
Need to make a trip out here and see what Ripley Historic Museum has to offer. This is Daryl Jeter with Daryl's Little Corner. Thank you. Hour together. Don't forget the Jeter Family Program Saturday night at 7. Y'all stay tuned now for Ron and Dave's Gospel Hour. I do hope you'll tune us again next Monday at 7 o'clock for Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless.